In this video, we'll see how to install Ubuntu on VirtualBox. Before we get into the process, let us quickly understand what VirtualBox is. So let's say you have a computer here, your own computer which you use for your work, and you are running Windows on this. Let me draw a very bad logo of Windows. Now, for some reason, maybe just for learning or some other application, you also want Linux on this. So there are different approaches that you can take. One is, alongside Windows, you can also install Linux. So you will have a dual boot system. And you can also install multiple flavors of Linux. So you will have a multi-boot system. And every time during the booting process, you will get the option whether you want to boot into Windows or Ubuntu, say, or maybe you have Kali. And whichever option you select, the system will boot into that particular operating system. So how it works is, let's say you have the computer, that is the hardware. So you have the hardware of your computer here. Let me denote it as HW. And on this hardware, you have the operating system. So you have different operating systems. And on top of the hardware, you have the operating system. So the operating system encapsulates the entire hardware for you, and you don't need to know the underlying hardware is, because the OS takes care of everything. Now whichever OS you boot into, that will be the only OS which is running at that moment. You cannot have multiple operating systems running at any given time on the hardware. And then on the OS you have your different applications that you use, like Microsoft Word or Firefox or Google Chrome or any other software. But the problem with this is, let's say you have booted into Windows and you now want to go into Kali, for example. Maybe you want to check something quickly that would require you just 10 minutes. But if you follow this process, you will have to shut down Windows and then freshly boot into Kali. So from here, if you want to go here, you have to shut down and then boot into Kali. This can be a tedious process sometimes, because like the example that we have just discussed, it might be just a 10 minutes work, or maybe you are doing multiple works together where you want to check something on Windows and then on Kali. That is where we use something called virtual machines. So what happens in virtual machines is, these applications we'll see later, we have the operating system, one host operating system, and on the host operating system we install another software that is called the virtual machine, and this runs alongside with other software applications that you have, like say Excel, Firefox, Chrome, or maybe some game that you are running. In this way, this virtual machine creates an environment for installing another operating system, maybe say Ubuntu. So inside this virtual machine you will install Ubuntu like you would install on any hardware or on any computer. So now you just open this application, run Ubuntu, and whenever you want to do some work on Windows, you switch over to the other one. There are multiple virtual machines available in the market, but what we will look into is an open source virtual machine that is called VirtualBox. So we have our Windows PC, and on this we will install VirtualBox, and inside VirtualBox we will install Ubuntu.